Tsuzuki was celebrating their 60th anniversary, and it's one of the large private educational organizations in Japan with 6 universities, 12 junior colleges and vocational schools, high schools, including an English language immersion high school, junior highs, and so forth. And they were very interested in striking a partnership with UH, and we produced this to show them and their community what we are all about in Hawaii and across the UH system. To our surprise, and this was just a few weeks ago, as they were celebrating their 60th anniversary, the event included about 800 people, fairly formal, as is common in Japan, with local and national government officials, business and community partners. Their current academic partners are a couple of schools you may have heard of, Oxford, Cambridge, but at this event, they highlighted UH. So we signed an MOU, one of our system-to-system MOUs, and this was actually one of the major features of their event. It was particularly relevant to us. They're headquartered in Fukuoka, and Fukuoka is actually the first sister state relationship entered into by the state of Hawaii under Governor George Ariyoshi, whose family roots come from there. So Don Straney stayed on. I went over for a quick 2-day visit. Don Straney stayed on, and they have several pharmacy schools in their education group, and so we'll probably start with our partnerships there, exchanging, and you could see what we were trying to highlight, both student exchanges as well as faculty exchanges. The video was then shared around the university, and I think Dan will be dubbing it into Chinese and other languages. We think this presents a really good way for UH to promote itself internationally as we try to bring in students from other countries and also establish research partnerships. So let's see, it is 10:08. At 10 o'clock, the Honolulu Fire Department is holding a recognition ceremony. And I mention that because today they are offering certificates of commendation to several members of the UH community. This is the way they recognize those who have subjected themselves to personal risk by performing exceptional acts of service or bravery. And today they are recognizing 3 members of our UH Manoa Department of Public Safety and one of our graduate students. This is DPS Sergeant Bridget Evangelista Govea, Officers Savannah Alpuro and Ireneo San Nicolas, and our grad student Jan Kealoha, for their prompt rescue of the postdoc who was injured in the explosion at Post earlier this year. The fire department, when they arrived on the scene, they were quite impressed with the collaborative and teamwork of our people in helping the individual who was injured in that situation. Nava'a just mentioned Complete College America. It was a pretty big celebration for us last week, and I brought one of our awards. UH was recognized with 2 President's Award. I will point out this represents the President of Complete College America recognition, not recognition of the President of UH. One of these was a surprise for us. They told us they wanted to recognize us for our graduation pathway system. That's STAR. And on the spot, they realized that they also they have really leveraged our 15 to Finish program across the nation. So we actually have 2 of these. They're kind of heavy to carry around. But this was in front of over 600 people. Again, a very large group representing advocates from more than half the states around the country and many nonprofits. These are the folks who are helping colleges and universities across the country figure out how to educate more students. They have identified 5 game changers. We are now, with these 2 awards, we are the national leader in 2 of the 5 areas, which is pretty amazing. 15 to Finish we've talked about, and I think you've seen our STAR program. We've demonstrated it to the Academic Affairs Committee, or it may have been Academic and Student Affairs last year. We think of it as our degree audit system, and that's actually how it started. But what we have now done is we've taken the degree audit piece, combined it with the degree pathways that have been developed by our faculty across all 10 campuses, and we are now looking at being able to help students. The traditional way of registering is cafeteria style. You pick and choose from among the thousands of courses. And the innovation that really captured their imagination was our work to use the pathways developed by our faculty as a front end into registration. So actually the students are presented with a default faculty design pathway, and then they can adjust. But if they, for example, decide to take dance instead of math, it lets them know that they may go off track and suggest perhaps they want to take 18 credits, perhaps they want to take summer school, perhaps they want to adjust their next semester pathway to try and keep them on track toward graduating on time, both for themselves and their families. It's a remarkable piece of work involving our banner team and star team, technologists, but also our faculty, our advisors, and our administrators. This follows on an award earlier this year from the Wichita Cooperative for Educational Telecommunications gave us their WOW Award for our work on predictive analytics. And some of the work we're doing now is in the area, what's called term of art is integrated planning and advising for student success, as we pull together our STAR system, our banner system, our La Lima online learning system. The Starfish advising system is used on 9 of our 10 campuses, and a predictive analytics framework that we've helped pioneer. That this is a way to help us identify at-risk students and identify interventions that are likely to help them succeed. I want to mention, I don't know if she's here, Erica LaCroix from Honolulu Community College, who's our regular guinea pig for new interventions. And it's a great place that we try things out and then push them out to all of the campuses. But everybody is really pulling ahead, and I want the Regents to understand the extent to which it's this work that is being nationally recognized that results in the improvements in the numbers that I so happily report to you. It doesn't happen by itself. One of the projects that we're moving into, and this is part of our strategic directions, is an attempt to bring more adults back into college. So if you think of the flip side of 55 by 25, that leaves behind 45% who don't have a college degree. And we know that about 70% of the jobs will require a college degree. So one of the tactics we identified was to try to get more adults to return to college who don't currently have a certificate or a diploma. Because of our national profile right now, and Vice President John Morton is leading our delegation in Indianapolis, we were identified as one of 6 states to try and pioneer a new program in identifying strategies in other states working together to collaborate on ideas that will work here. And this will provide some support from the Lumina Foundation, some convenings. They'll send out consultants at their cost. They're flying us up to figure out our ideas at their cost. This is part of what we try to do, to learn from others and not have to figure out all of those strategies on our own. One example of how we work together as a system to meet the needs of the state, and I'll just briefly mention this one, is a new memorandum of understanding between KCC and the UH Manoa College of Education. So one of the challenges within the DOE is teachers who can teach second language students, that is students who are non-native speakers of English or even non-native speakers or non-speakers of English. That's one of their at-risk groups along with special ed students. And this new MOU will help us take students who earn an associate degree focusing on second language studies at KCC and move directly and efficiently into the UH Manoa College of Education to get a BA in education in multilingual learners program. So again, our leveraging of the strength of the system together is really powerful when we apply it to meet the state needs. A couple of last quick updates. I think some of you know that when I became interim president, I reinstated the President's Emerging Leaders Program, or PELP, which had been on hiatus for a few years. Last year, we created a project, a team project approach as part of PELP. And one of our PELP groups identified as their project, and this was a group from faculty and staff from across our campuses, how can we do a better job of engaging Gen Z learners, those who are just coming on and learn in different ways than those of us who sat in classrooms. So the team presented to a set of executives and to themselves. And this group was so interested in their work, they proposed to go to a national conference, NASPA, which is the premier conference in student affairs in the country. They were one of 80 proposals selected out of 281 presented. They got to present before 150 peers from around the country. And I think their mentor, Hei Okimoto, might be here today. It's really a great example of how when we invest in our own people, we really can create the next generation of leaders for our university campuses. I'll just mention that the UH Manoa Counselor in Residence program, which puts counselors in the dorms, also received the NASPA Innovative Program of the Year Award. This was just last week. Quick update on our 2 chancellor searches. So one of them is before you today, and you have an action item that we'll discuss in executive session, the appointment of the next chancellor of the University of Hawaii, West Oahu. The UH Manoa search, as I reported on last month, is in progress. We had the first of the 2 finalists who have been identified on campus Monday and Tuesday, and I think a couple of you may have attended the public presentation. He was put through the usual grueling 2 days of meeting with all of the groups on campus, as well as 2 meetings with me, and we have the next candidate next Monday and Tuesday. So I'll look forward to updating you at your next meeting on that. Lastly, let me just mention, and this came up earlier, the election. This was an election like no other I've experienced, and it had impacts on the university community that I think we've never seen before. We have, if you're following the higher education press, on many universities around the country, there have been acts of physical violence against individuals and against property. We have had some edgy moments on several of our campuses, and that's one of the reasons I sent out the message that I think you also saw. I have to say I did get a couple of people who objected to the message, and I accept that, but by and large the feedback was extremely positive. People really appreciate that their university and their administration is thinking about how to keep our students safe and how to support the people in the community who have been pretty shattered by much of this. And I'll be getting together with the Council of Chancellors tomorrow, and we'll be talking further about how we can support our students, our faculty, and our staff in a time that is difficult for them personally, quite frankly.